The wind rolled dust across the empty plains, carrying with it the faint groan of wagon wheels fighting a losing battle against the earth. Jake Holloway, a cowboy known across the territories for his weathered boots, sharp instincts, and silent kindness, was riding back toward the town of Willow Bend after trading cattle up north. His stallion, Dustfire, moved steadily beneath him, ears twitching at every sound. Out here, silence meant trouble. Jake pulled the reins as a weak cry floated on the wind. Not a scream. Not a call for help. Something softer. Something exhausted. He nudged Dustfire forward. Up ahead, a broken-down wagon leaned sideways, one wheel half sunk into the mud. A woman, small, pale, and visibly pregnant, was gripping the wagon shafts with trembling arms, trying to pull the heavy structure by herself. Sweat streaked through the dust on her face. Her dress was torn at the hem. Her braid had unraveled halfway. Every few seconds, she stopped to hold her belly, breathing sharp and shallow. Jake felt something lodge in his throat. She wasn't just tired. She was at her breaking point. He rode closer, and Dustfire snorted. The woman turned sharply, fear springing into her, eyes like a trapped animal's. She reached behind her, probably expecting bandits, her hand searching for something inside the wagon. Jake lifted his hands, showing he meant no harm. "Mom," he called gently, "you keep pulling like that. You're gonna fall before the wagon does." The woman's knees almost buckled. She wasn't frightened by him. She was exhausted. Her lips trembled as she tried to form words. My horse ran off this morning," she said, voice thin. "Wheel broke. I just need to make it to Willow Bend. My sister lives there." She swallowed hard. "My baby's coming early. I can feel it." Jake's chest tightened. Out here, miles from town, with no help, no water, and no horse? That wasn't bad luck. That was life-threatening. He dismounted slowly, walking toward her like approaching a wounded fawn. "What's your name?" he asked. "Evelyn Hart," she whispered. "My husband, Garrett?" "He passed 3 months ago." Her eyes glistened. With tears she no longer had the strength to hide. "I've been trying to keep the farm, but nothing's been easy since he—" Her voice broke. "I just need to get to my sister." Jake didn't hesitate another second. He stepped closer, steady and firm. "You're coming with me," he said. Evelyn blinked, confused. "What? You heard me?" Jake pointed toward Dustfire. "You think I'm riding away and leaving a pregnant widow to pull a wagon across the plains?" He shook his head. "Not happening. You're coming with me." Her eyes widened, and for a moment Jake saw the exact second her fear collapsed into relief. Her shoulders sagged, her chest trembled on a shaky breath, and tears finally spilled over. Jake took her gently by the arm, lifting her to the saddle. She winced, but didn't fight him. Dustfire stayed perfectly still, as if the horse itself understood the fragility of the woman being placed upon it. When she was settled, Jake stepped back to the wagon. You don't have to," Evelyn started. Jake grinned faintly. "Ma'am, I'm a cowboy. We fix wheels and save folks. It's about the only 2 things we're good at." She let out a tired laugh, the sound soft and broken. Jake lifted the wagon, found broken spokes, and tied them securely with rope he kept coiled around his saddle. It wouldn't last long, but long enough to move. Then he hitched Dustfire's reins to the wagon so the horse could pull the weight. Evelyn watched him with wide eyes as if she were witnessing something impossible. "You don't even know me," she whispered. Jake wiped his hands on his jeans. "You're a mother carrying a life inside you. That's all I need to know." But as they began moving toward Willow Bend, Evelyn's breath hitched and she gripped the saddle horn. "Jake," she gasped. I think the baby's coming." Jake's stomach dropped. The town was still 2 hours away. He looked at the sky, at her face, at the shaking in her hands. Then he made up his mind. "Hold on, Evelyn," he murmured, lifting her down carefully. "We're stopping here." He laid out blankets, boiled water at lightning speed, and knelt beside her with a steady calm he didn't know he had. Evelyn cried out as another contraction tore through her, gripping his shirt, burying her face against him. "Jake, I can't. I'm scared." He held her fiercely. "You're not alone," he said, voice low and strong. "Not anymore." Out on the wide plains beneath the open sky, He stayed with her long into the night, refusing to leave her side for a single heartbeat. And as dawn approached, something inside him began to change. Something he hadn't felt since his own wife passed years ago. Hope, a new beginning, a reason to stay. Little did Jake know what was happening on this quiet patch of earth would soon tie their lives together forever. Dawn spilled gold across the plains just as Evelyn released one final cry, and the sound that answered her was the most beautiful thing Jake had ever heard. Newborn's first breath, a small, fragile wail broke the silence, echoing across the empty land like a miracle. Jake wrapped the baby gently in Evelyn's shawl. His hands, calloused and rough from years of cattle work, moved with unexpected delicacy. He'd helped deliver calves hundreds of times. Never a human child, but tenderness came to him naturally in that moment. "It's a boy," he whispered, his voice softer than Evelyn had ever heard. Her eyes fluttered open, exhausted but glowing as she reached for her son. Jake helped her hold him, steadying her shaking arms. Tears slid silently down her cheeks as she kissed the baby's forehead. He looks like Garrett," she breathed. Jake swallowed hard. "He'd be proud of you, Evelyn. Real proud." She looked up at him, gratitude shining through her exhaustion, and something else. Something that warmed Jake's chest in a way he wasn't ready to name. He cleared his throat and tended to the fire, giving her a moment to bond with the child. But as the sun climbed higher, he noticed Evelyn's breathing had grown shallow and her skin cool. "Evelyn," he said quickly, moving beside her. "Talk to me." She blinked slowly. "Just tired." "No," Jake said firmly, lifting her carefully. "You need a doctor now." He secured the baby against her with a blanket, settled her onto Dustfire again, and tied the wagon so it followed closely behind. Then he began the hardest, fastest ride of his life toward Willow Bend. Every few minutes, he'd look up at her, terrified he'd see her eyes close for the last time. But Evelyn held on. For her son. For hope. For the cowboy who refused to leave her behind. Oh, when the town came into view, the doctor rushed out, taking Evelyn into care. Jake paced outside the clinic like a restless tornado, hands shaking. Dustfire nudged him gently, sensing his worry. Hours passed. Finally, the doctor emerged. "She's weak," he said, "but alive. Thanks to you." Jake exhaled so hard he nearly staggered. He didn't even realize he'd been holding his breath. The doctor handed him the baby. Small, warm, sleeping peacefully. Jake cradled him awkwardly, staring down at the tiny face. A strange ache spread in his chest, an ache he hadn't felt since losing his own wife and unborn child years ago. He whispered, "You're safe now, little one." Oh. When Evelyn finally woke, pale but smiling, Jake was sitting beside her with the baby in his arms, rocking him gently as if he'd been doing it all his life. "You stayed," she whispered. "Of course I stayed." "You don't even know us." Jake looked down at the baby, then at her. "Feels like I've known you both longer than yesterday," he said softly. Her breath hitched. "Jake, I don't know how to repay you. You don't owe me nothing." But Evelyn shook her head weakly. "No, you saved me. You saved my son. That matters more than anything." Jake hesitated, then spoke slowly. "You and the little fella, you ain't got a home to go back to. If you want, I've got a cabin 2 miles west. It's small, but it's safe. You can stay till you're strong again." Evelyn stared at him, at the cowboy who appeared out of nowhere, who fixed her wagon, delivered her baby, carried her to town, and never once asked for anything in return. Her voice trembled. "Jake, why are you doing all this?" He met her eyes. "Because no one should go through life alone. Not a mother, not a child, and not a man who's already lost too much." Tears gathered in her lashes. Slowly, she reached for his hand. And Jake Holloway, weathered cowboy, silent wanderer, lonely soul, felt something break open inside him. A door he thought had been locked forever. Hope, maybe even love. Oh, 3 days later, Jake helped Evelyn climb onto Dustfire. Again, this time not out of desperation, but beginning. As they rode toward his cabin, Evelyn leaned forward slightly. "Jake?" "Yeah?" She whispered, "Thank you for telling me. You're coming with me." "That saved my life." He smiled faintly. "And maybe," he murmured, It saved mine, too. The baby cooed softly in her arms, and Jake looked at them both, mother and child, and understood, something he never expected. Sometimes family finds you on the loneliest road. Sometimes love begins in the harshest places. And sometimes the cowboy doesn't just save the widow, he becomes the man she was still meant to find. End of story. If this emotional story touched your heart, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss another cowboy romance story.